Persuasion is the process of communication that is intended to induce belief or actions and of moving others by argument to a position or a particular course of action, either temporarily or permanently. Persuasion is believed to be both an art and a science. There are several ways in which a person may be persuaded, such as choosing specific aspects or techniques that would persuade the person, making someone agree to your request when you ask them, making someone say yes to you but also changing their attitude to your request, making someone say yes to you and also changing their perception, making someone say yes to you and also changing their behavior. The art of persuasion, as I said, persuasion is an art. You can get better and better with it. If you feel that you don't have an innate talent for persuading others, don't be disappointed, because these skills can be honed and developed with the proper training and practice. People who always speak good things may feel that they are good persuaders, but that is not always the case. Persuasion is all about understanding what you want and what other person wants, and then coming up with a win-win scenario. Persuasion happens everywhere. It's omnipresent. You may have persuaded people for anything, right from deadlines of a project to which a person will do, or even a chores at home. In the real world, it is sometimes difficult to ascertain whether your persuasion skills are good or bad. You may think that you are good persuader, but in reality, you may be just the opposite. Even before they persuade, you will have to know what can people be persuaded for. Let's understand the importance of persuasion. Persuading people can be beneficial to you in several ways, such as it helps to deal with people so that they feel important and appreciated. It helps to handle people without making them feel manipulated. It helps you to make someone want to do what you want them to. It helps in arousing a want to follow you and your instruction in others. It will help you to learn how to make people like you. It can help you to win people over to your way of thinking. It helps to change people without causing offense or arousing resentment. It is important that you should create a good impression on yourself among others in order to be able to persuade them. The world forms its opinion of us largely from the opinion we have of ourselves. So following are the few ways through which you can create a good impression. Don't wear a disguise. Number 2, don't knock the other party. Number 3, learn to communicate effectively. Number 4, don't try to be perfect. Number 5, get people talking about themselves. And 6th one is don't tease and don't be sarcastic. Let's understand each of these in little more detail. So when I say to create a good impression, don't wear a disguise. People are much smarter than you realize. The conscious mind may not be smart enough to analyze and see through the disguise that people wear, but our subconscious mind does identify the fakeness and disguise that people put on. When I say second one is don't knock the other party. Never try to humiliate others if you want to make a good impression. Instead, boost your own image. Not only do people dislike negative talks, but you're also setting a negative environment to persuade. The third one is learn to communicate effectively. One thing good persuaders have in common is skill in using words. Learn to communicate openly, honestly, and passionately to persuade people. The fourth one is get people talking about themselves. If you want to persuade others, then show a genuine interest in other people's opinions and views. If you can stimulate others to talk, you will acquire a reputation as a good conversationalist as well as a good person, and will have greater persuasion power. The next one is don't tease and don't be sarcastic. Teasing and sarcastic remarks are both aimed at the self-esteem of others. Do not tease or pass sarcastic comments, as they threaten the self-esteem of the other people. and make you less likable, this will make it more difficult for you to be able to persuade the other person. A role of a persuasion in success. One of the key traits of a successful person is in professional as well as personal front is one who can persuade people. Persuading people helps you to lead the people to your way of thinking and helps to prevent unnecessary conflicts and resentments. There is a very strong linear relationship between success and persuasion. There are three main changes of attitude that take place, such as like cognitive change. Such a change in attitude takes place when a person receives new information from others or media. Effective change. Such a change in attitude takes place through a direct experience with the attitude object or a behavioral change. Such a change in attitude takes place when a person is forced to behave in a different way than normal. The only way you will be able to persuade others is when you learn to control and change the attitudes of other people. When you change the attitude of other people, their actions and hence their behavior will automatically come under your control. When a person's attitude becomes favorable towards you, they are more likely to comply with your wishes and agree with your opinions and ideas. So there are some of the key points to keep in mind in order to change the attitudes of other people. We have to adapt the attitude we want others to express, as simple as it is. Second one is speak out with confidence and grit. The next one is people react and respond in a like manner to attitudes and action expressed by you. Watch your posture at all times, which is important. Remember to be enthusiastic because enthusiasm is contagious and spreads from one person to another, and so does indifference and lack of enthusiasm. Begin today to develop an enthusiastic, confident attitude and manner. Confidence breeds confidence. If you believe in ourselves and act as if we believe in ourselves, others will believe in us. Hold your head up and display a positive body language at all times. The formation of attitude and change of attitude are not separate phenomena but are interwoven, right? Based on the changing needs and interests, people tend to accept changes to give up or their existing attitudes. Hence, whenever a person faces any kind of changes in his needs or interests, his attitude may undergo a change. There are various factors that affects whether a change or acceptance of a new attitude will take place. Like who is the communicator? How is the communication presented? How is the communication perceived by the audience? What is the credibility of the communicator? And what are the conditions under which the knowledge was received? The role of communication in persuasion is pretty critical. So effective communication is important to persuade people because it is important how information is sent and received between people. It is crucial for working successfully with others. It enables to maintain relationships. It allows to accomplish tasks while working with both individuals and groups. It motivates. It helps to overcome obstacles. It creates a comfortable, trustful and psychologically safe feeling. So there are few ways that you can use in constructive communication. Like I would call it as do's of a communication for persuasion. Number one is validation of each other. Number two, sensitive listening. Number three, dual perspective. Number four, recognize others' concern. Number five, seek clarification. Number six, infrequent interruptions. Number seven, focus on specific issues. Number eight, compromises and contracts. And number nine is useful meta communication. And the 10th point is summarizing the concerns for both the parties. Now, these are the do's of communication for persuasion. There are few don'ts, right? Don'ts of communication and how to avoid using destructive communication for persuasion. Like number one, disconfirmation of each other. Number 2, poor listening. Number 3, preoccupation with self. 4, cross-complaining, hostile mind reading, frequent interruptions, everything is thrown in, counter proposals, excessive meta communications, and self-summarizing. These are the other 10 don'ts of communication of persuasion.
Verbal technique for effective persuasion.
Sometimes we may be required to speak to an audience. The norms of persuading an audience are slightly different from when one is speaking to an individual. Effectively engaging an audience is dependent on the speaker's ability to sound interesting and convey a positive attitude. Developing good speaking skills involves an increased awareness of your voice, language, body language, and tone while speaking. So following few verbal techniques should be considered and carefully put in use while trying to persuade an audience. Voice, language, body language, tone and humor. Let's understand this in a little more detail. Your primary tool of persuading while speaking to an audience is your voice. When speaking to an audience, think about projection, pace, and modulation. The volume of your voice should be loud enough that everyone can hear at the beginning of the session. Ask the audience if they can hear you and adjust your volume accordingly. Projection is critical. Pace. Make sure you are not going so fast that people cannot keep up, or so slow that people get bored and stop paying attention. You can also use strategic pauses, such as pausing just before an important point in order to emphasize it. Voice modulation. Varying your inflection and volume will keep your audience attention, whether your natural speaking voice is high or low, loud or soft. The next point I was talking about is language. Avoid using technical terms. Explain the concepts and difficult terms. Use analogies to explain difficult concepts or ideas. Body language. Develop eye contact with your audience. Use gestures to emphasize points and keep your audience attention. Stand up, it keeps your audience attention. Walk around to keep your audience attention. Relax, be conscious of your body postures throughout the session. And smile and laugh. It engages your audience and makes you more approachable. The next one is tone and humor. Use your tone to convey an infectious enthusiasm for the topic. Be positive and upbeat, and don't focus on negatives or difficulties. Incorporate humor into your discussion. This will help you build rapport with your audience. So few tips for effective communication for persuasion would be like focus on the overall communication system. Manage time during discussions effectively. Both people should be psychologically present and not rushed. Be flexible. Use bracketing to keep the discussion focused. Aim for win-win discussion. Honor yourself, your audience, and the relationship. Grant forgiveness or put aside our own needs if possible, and show grace when appropriate. These are few quick tips from my side to ensure your communication is effective for persuasion. Delivery of a persuasion pitch. The two ways in which a person can deliver or make a persuasion pitch, such as effective or a positive delivery, or ineffective or a negative delivery. Let's understand each in little more detail. When I say effective and positive delivery in persuasion pitch, the persuasion pitch is delivered in non-threatening and encouraging manner, right? It's quite supportive. It should be helpful. The persuasion pitch is meant to be of value to the other person. It should be descriptive. The persuasion pitch focuses on behavior that can be changed. It should be sensitive. The persuasion pitch takes into consideration the other persons and is sensitive to their needs. Considerate. The persuasion pitch is intended to not insult or demean. It can be direct. The persuasion pitch is focused and clear. Healthy timing. the pitch is given at an appropriate time. Thoughtful, the pitch is well thought out rather than impulsive, right? Should be specific, is focused on specific behavior or events. There could be ineffective or a negative delivery of persuasion pitch, which could be indirect, like ideas are not addressed directly, and persuasion pitch is vague. General, persuasion pitch aims at broad issues which cannot be defined. Or insensitive, such persuasion pitch has little concern for needs of other people. Or attacking, persuasion and focusing on the weaknesses of other person. Disrespectful, the persuasion pitch is disrespectful and almost insulting. Poor timing, the persuasion pitch is not given on appropriate time. Or impulsive, the pitch is given thoughtlessly, right, with little regard to the consequences. Or judgmental, which prejudiced and judges personality rather than behavior. Could also be selfish, the persuasion pitch meets only the speaker's needs rather than the needs of other persons. So that's how the roles of communication there. Now let's quickly go through the steps of persuasion process. As proposed by Professor J. Conger, the following are the steps followed for persuasion process. Step 1, establish credibility and trust in yourself. Step 2, find a basis of common ground. Step 3, provide a vivid proof. And 4 is connect at an emotional level. Let's understand all the 4 steps in little more detail. Step 1, as I was mentioning, is establish credibility and trust in yourself. The first step of persuasion is to establish credibility and trust in yourself in the minds of the audience. You can do this by using your expertise and knowledge in the field that you are speaking about, by building and then appealing to the strong relationship that you share with your audience, by carefully listening to others and their opinions, and by using your history of good judgment to appeal to each person's individual personality. Step 2 is find a basis of common ground. You should find a basis of common grounds between you and the other person whom you want to persuade. So you should find a basis that can be agreed by all the parties for reaching a mutual understanding. First, clear and clarify the benefits that your opinions have to offer, and then look for mutual beneficial solutions for you as well as the other party. Once you have found the mutual benefits, you should clearly state and define the advantages and benefits to the other party. Step 3 is provide vivid proof. This step involves presenting your audience with vivid or clear proof to support your statement and opinions. You can use logic and facts to support your statement, using imaginary and metaphors to help other person compare and understand your opinion. You can use stories and examples to help other persons associate with your ideas and feelings. You may use numbers to prove your statement by presenting spreadsheets to support your statements. Step 4 is connect at an emotional level. This step involves with the other persons at an emotional level. You should understand the tangents or aspects of the person's personality. You should show empathy and your respect for others' feelings and opinions. You should show your commitment, honesty and dedication. In order to connect to at an emotional level, you should have a high degree of self-awareness so that you can understand your own emotions as well as other person's emotions.